Hi, I'm John Stinson from Holy Trinity Catholic Schools in Fort Madison, Iowa, and I wish to discuss the theory of planned behavior today. So I was first interested with the topic of the theory of planned behavior when I was studying for a science project in my advanced biology class. I found this theory of planned behavior and it just inspired me to go further. I also found Erik Erikson's methods of study refined and awe-inspiring. The theory of planned behavior by Martin Fishman and Eike Adjzen states that intention toward behavior, subjective norms, and perceived behavior control together shape an individual's behavioral intentions and behavior. Also, the use of Erikson's age categories helped me determine which age groups would be essential in my conclusion. I based my questions for the survey based off the moral principles and values of the Holy Trinity Catholic High School community. These principles are based on moral theology and personal political beliefs. The question I wish to address today is, can you really understand and guess someone's answer to a question before they even say it? I believe that you can predict through the use of the theory of planned behavior what someone is going to say or a group of people based on prior knowledge and interactions with the group and community. Question 1, which was, would it be permissible to torture one person to obtain the happiness of many? I hypothesized that the older the individual within the group, the more likely they are to say yes if they are male. But if they are female, I believe that the majority, regardless of age, would say that it would not be permissible to torture one for the benefits of others. Question 2, I hypothesized that both genders would have a majority saying it would be all right to steal if your family was starving. Question 3, I hypothesized that the younger the individual was, regardless of gender, their likelihood of saying yes would increase the older they were, when the more likely it was that they would say yes to the genetic engineering should not be allowed. Question 4, I hypothesized that the younger the surveyor was, they would say yes, but the older the surveyor, the more likely it was that they would say no to. And that would be, does a Christian have to go to church every Sunday to be a good question? Question 5, I hypothesized that the majority of females would say no to the death penalty being justified, while for males, I hypothesized that a majority of the middle-age groups, being comprised of the ages 13 through 45, would say yes, while the youngest and oldest members of the survey would respond with no. My materials for my investigation of this, for this observation of morality was a MacBook Air Pro and a self-designed survey. So first, I created my survey to adhere to the Holy Trinity Catholic School system within Lee County, Iowa. I am an active participant within the community and have gained insight on their political views and beliefs and will use this bias or basis for my hypothesis. There are 5 prime questions that I will be focusing on in a survey of 30. The questions will be distributed through the use of Google Forms to keep anonymity. Then I would present them with the 32 questions. These questions would be thought-provoking questions based around morality. Finally, I will calculate how accurate my hypotheses were based on the responses of my data. I printed off a few graphs that I would like to take a further look at. Some of these were not the 5 main questions, but I found their answers and their comparisons to the 5 main questions very interesting. So the first one I would like to bring up is, do I have a duty to help others? And we see a majority said, 76.9% said yes, while a 23.1% said no. But when compared to the would it be permissible to torture one to obtain the happiness of the many, a majority said no, when in fact this small suffering would help many people and you would feel compelled to do that for your duty. And then also compared to do I have the duty to assist the police, it is quite an interesting comparison because you feel like police are other people, whereas in this community I feel a slight discourse between the two of them. So a majority for the do I have the duty to assist the police questionnaire said no. So that kind of is really intriguing because you would think that any individual, regardless of age, would have to agree to assist the police, whether it be through an ongoing investigation or otherwise, due to their status and authority. Another question that I found pretty interesting was, should extraterrestrials be treated as equals? I found this question particularly interesting because of the Catholic faith and what it would do to their stance in religion, seeing as another potential different species of humanoid creatures or whatever exist out in the world, that they might not be the only chosen race from God. And this would offset it, but a majority, 60.3%, said that yes, that they should be treated as equals, while a 39.7% says no. I believe that there are two ways that you could take this question, with the needs being focused or on the same standard as humans. And there are two questions that I had a complete even 50-50 split, and I found that completely marveling. And one of them was, is it okay to go against your moral principles if your life is being threatened? I found this completely interesting because of the view of martyrs in the Catholic faith being so elevated. You would think that more people would be more inclined to defend their faith and have a higher seat with God, just not even for their own personal gain, but rather to deepen their spirituality. But a majority said yes, and it was completely split. Another one is monitoring the location on your child's phone, an invasion of privacy. This was taken of a majority of high school students and some staff, as well as others throughout the community. But I found it pretty interesting that it was pretty evenly split between the children themselves, as well as the adults. My conclusions for my hypotheses are as follows. For my first conclusion, for my first hypothesis of question 1, it was correct, where many of the older individuals within the group are more likely to say yes, while a large amount of females said no. In my conclusion for question 2, my hypothesis was incorrect, with the majority of males saying that it wasn't acceptable, while the females, on the other hand, did say that the death penalty was a good institution. In conclusion, question 3, my hypothesis was correct, with the majority of younger age groups saying that genetic engineering should be allowed. In conclusion for my fourth question, my hypothesis was correct, with the younger surveyors being more likely to say yes. In conclusion 5, my hypothesis of the majority of my female participants did say that the death penalty was justified, while the males were split on the side of it. This theory of planned behavior can be used, as it has been used before, in different studies. One in particular across Australia surveyed pregnant females and their choices on buying a house, and they were more concerned with the condition of the neighborhood and a good school rather than focusing on the house, further highlighting the impact that this theory could have on the economic stance of homes and values. This could also be used in a multitude of other ways, such as the likelihood of another person using safe sex, for instance. And that is all that I wish to talk about today. Thank you.